Hi, friends. Welcome to Lotus in the Light. My name is Jennifer. Listen, I've got a cool topic to talk about today. I think it's cool anyway, because what I want to talk about is intuition. And Spirit has just put on my heart and brought to the forefront of my mind um, the fact that I'm speaking about intuition lately like it's easy because I now find it to be easy. But that isn't where I came from. That wasn't the majority of my life, the last 50 years of my life. I have had a different experience with understanding and following my intuition. And I realized I was describing to someone the other day that like it's all about following your intuition. And I got home and I thought, you say that like it's easy, but that's not easy for everyone. So I want to go back and I want to talk to you about what that journey looked like for me. Because if you would have asked me, honestly, probably even 6 months ago, or at least definitely a year ago, if you would have asked me, okay, what's your, if you could do this or this, what would you do? Gut instinct, intuitive answer. What is it? What would you do? I would be immediately torn between two choices, guaranteed. If you could live anywhere in the world, if you could have any career, if you could, whatever, if you could redo anything in your life, it doesn't even matter what the question is. If you were to ask me any question and tell me to give you an answer from my gut instincts, from my intuition, I would immediately be paralyzed and I would immediately have multiple answers. And it would drive me crazy when people would say, don't think about it. The first answer that comes to your mind, just spit it out, like gun to your head. And I've even done that to someone before, like gun to your head, answer steak or chicken, right? Um, and trying to help people get to that gut instinct and find that intuition within them and trust it. But even if somebody did that to me, I still would be paralyzed with immediately with multiple ideas or blank with no ideas because I'm like frozen in fear. um, at the edge in fear of just the idea of having to discern what is coming from my intuition. And so I would say I had almost no connection to my intuition or no conscious awareness of my intuition is the better way to say it. And here's why. I've cracked the case. I've cracked the nut. Um, the problem is that even though your instinct, your intuition is naturally your first inclination about something, once your left brain, your thinking mind has uh, written a narrative and created a program for to execute that narrative that you have already fully integrated into yourself, meaning it is now your knee-jerk reaction. It is now your path of least resistance. It's that neural pathway that has been carved out. That's like every time somebody asks this is what my brain automatically does without even thinking, and it does it in a split second. And that's where I was at. My brain had already been programmed to consider my faith system and what it said, my morals, my hopes, my fears, my traumas, my past experiences, my, so on and so forth. And this is probably true for the majority of us. Some people, even despite having all of those knee-jerk reactions, there are many people who are still so in tune to their intuition, they can still discern it from that. My husband is one. He has very, very good intuition. His gut instincts are usually right on. And so anytime we were doing something where we were going with our instincts and we came to different conclusions, I always would default to him because I knew he would be right. And he would be. And so anyway, but what happens is once you've integrated that process of decision making, so if it's once it's so deeply ingrained into who you are, it becomes your knee-jerk reaction, your path of least resistance, which is supposed to be your intuition. Your intuition is designed to be that. But then you create a new pattern of behavior that supersedes that. And you do that for year after year, day after day after day after day for years and for decades, you lose sight and lose sense of your own intuition. And that's what had happened to me. But the reason why, so you would think, okay, well, then put in those situations where somebody said, quick, don't think, give an answer, da, 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 I should come up with a singular answer that follows that neural pathway, that new pattern of behavior that I've created, right? Well, it would do that, but always still vibrating just below the surface of that is my intuition and your intuition, right? So it doesn't go away. It's still there. It just now creates conflict for you because you have two sources of information fighting for preferential treatment, fighting for recognition. One saying go this way, one saying go this way, right? Two roads diverged in a yellow wood. um, and I took the one less traveled by. So that's what I do now, because the world would say to follow the other road, to suppress the intuition, to suppress the um, your gut instincts and follow what logic says. You know, if the stock market says follow these rules and you will win, right? The job market says do these things in an interview and you will get the job. The whatever circumstance. The doctor says follow these things and you will conceive a child. And sometimes those things are helpful. And they definitely can be helpful. I don't want to discount them or discredit them, but we need to start the path of anything with our intuition, because our intuition is tapped into our higher mind, which knows things that our thinking mind doesn't know. Our thinking mind doesn't already know if we have reproductive issues and challenges that we're going to have to overcome, but our higher mind does. So the doctors say do this, and your higher mind's like, yeah, but you also have this issue. And if you do this, that's really going to help. Right. And so like going with your gut intuition makes all the difference. But you have to retrain and reprogram. You don't have to retrain and reprogram your intuition. What you have to do is you have to retrain yourself to tune this out, to say thank you, but no thank you. I'm listening to this other thing. And it's scary at first because you're so unprepared. You're so unprepared is not the word. You are so unfamiliar with your intuition that you don't know if that's what you're really hearing and following. And the way you know, and this is what really cracked the case for me. And I went from being totally indecisive about everything, and I had to overanalyze everything because I'm like, I see reasons for this, but I see reasons for this, and I don't know which way to go. And then I would overanalyze it to death with logic and reason and everything else. And what I do is I follow the joy, I follow the peace, I follow the fruit of the spirit. I do not ever follow fear, and those are the two big rules. And if you fear will always come from here. Joy could come from here, but it also will come from your intuitive intuition as well. So, but joy is that breadcrumb from spirit saying you're in alignment. It may be a great option, a great answer, a great choice. It may be the best choice. It may not be the best choice, but it will be your intuition is not going to lead you astray. I will say that it's always going to lead you to the best outcome for you in that time. And so just trying to tune in and see if there's anything. I feel like that's it. Maybe we go to a card. Talking about intuition. Ooh, let's go to, I think I might have used this deck once. It's one of my new decks. Sacred Spirit. Can't even remember. I'll have to look and see if I have a guide for this. I don't know if I have a guidebook for this, so we may just be whatever card pulls. We'll see what energy we get from it. But I was really kind of excited to share this message because I had forgotten how hard it is, and now it's so easy. I went from being totally indecisive to not even, I don't ever second guess myself at all, ever. Kundalini rising, ignite your passion for life. I love this. And I love this for a couple reasons. So this is what this is signifying, is that it's signifying the activation of all of your energy centers. Okay. And the balancing. So this is actually a number 22. So 2 represents balance, that fully embodying the totality of who you are, your masculine energy and your feminine energy being in balance. But 22, that is a master number. So that is the master number of balance and equilibrium. And this is so important from the perspective of intuition, because intuition is a feminine energy, and our culture and our society. And when I say our, I'm not just talking about the American or the Western Hemisphere. I'm talking across the world, much of the world, not as much in like the ancient Eastern traditions, but much of the world today has really put a negative perspective on feminine energy, on the energy of receiving, on the energy of allowing, receiving insight, receiving wisdom, receiving intuition from something outside of the physical world, something from that spiritual realm, versus your masculine energy, which is the energy of action, the energy of you got the give and the take, right? So the feminine energy is the take, and the masculine energy is the give. And so it's that energy of forward movement, action, decision, decisiveness, and less about the flow, right? So, but what we really are is we are both. We are all of those things. We get our guidance from the flow in of energy, and then that turns into divine inspiration that motivates us to action. And so this Kundalini rising is about finding that flow and that balance and getting rid of the energy blocks in all of these energy centers so that it all works beautifully together. And when it does, your intuition will take you to places that you never dreamed. I'll leave it right there. Love you so much. Thank you so much for taking this journey with me. And here's 2 more videos. Peace out.